I want to be the dumbest and poorest person in any room I walk into. Because if I'm the dumbest and poorest, it means that someone somewhere is challenging me, extracting out of me greatness. They're saying, you can do this. You can do more. You can be more. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, boom, I just went to another level. Boom, I just got a new revelation. Boom, I have a new insight that I otherwise would have never gotten had I not exposed myself to a higher echelon in my network.
Welcome to Evolve Leadership, the arena where high-achieving leaders are challenged to redefine their limits. My name is Angus Nelson. I grew up in the United States and I now live in Lisbon, Portugal. I'm an executive coach and I've spent my career advising and training leaders from startups to Fortune 500 companies. And here's what I've learned. An old, ineffective leadership framework will always keep you on a hamster wheel, consumed with work-life balance, burnout, and stress. Here on the show, each week we'll help you rethink the path to achievement. We'll help you discover new principles, new philosophies to the modern leader. Look, the world is relentlessly changing, demanding a new era of leaders. It's time to redefine your limits. So enter the arena, my friend. It's time to evolve.
Entrepreneurs, we have your back. We are having a conversation about how to move your business forward. You're getting stuck. You feel like you need to get the engine going, and we are going to talk that through. My name is Tim McClagan. I'm the senior coach here at Evolve. This is the co-founder of Evolve Leadership, Samantha Nelson.
Behind the scenes, pulling all the strings, that's the one.
That's the COO magic that she brings. And our founder, Angus Nelson. And Angus, you're pissed. You're a man on a mission right now.
We have brought this conversation together because, I've had conversations with entrepreneurs 6 months ago. And here it is 6 months later, following up with them, and they're doing the exact same things. Yep. Nothing's changed, and they're experiencing the same crummy results. And I know what it's like to go on the hamster wheel and just to chug and chug and chug and not get anywhere. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let people do that anymore. And so today is an opportunity for us to just kind of open the playbook and say, if you're in that place where you are doing the same thing over and over again, if you're in that place where you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, like, let's get you unstuck. Yeah. Let's get you off the hamster wheel. So let's just open up the playbook and show you exactly how to take the next steps forward.
Amen. And we have a successful executive coaching program, but this is not about pitching anything to you. We want you to win. Yeah. And so we're opening up the playbook. We're showing you how we get our clients massive wins forward. And Angus, it starts with 5 gaps, 5 gaps that people run into as an entrepreneur in their business at some point in their career where they hit a wall and it feels like can't get past this. What's the first gap?
First gap is skills. Like, anytime we understand that we are good at something, but we're not great at something. But we'll keep chugging along at good till we get to great. But the reality is you've got other areas that you are great at in your product or service. You've got conceptual stuff that is that's your mojo. That's your zone of genius. Like, this is where you need to be focused. But instead, they get so spread out. And they just run everything thin that they're not actually focusing on the thing that makes them money, that delivers the best results, and delegating all the rest.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's other skills where they'll sit there in front of the computer and like, I'm just going to learn this thing, and they're spending all this opportunity cost trying to learn something that you could just go pay somebody else to do.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a skills gap there, and that's first and foremost. And then the second piece I would say is, there's a network gap.
Yeah, talk about that for a little bit.
Well, the network gap is like, we isolate when we're in entrepreneurship oftentimes, and people they get really center focused on just the business and just doing the thing, that they don't understand that in their chaos, they think what they're experiencing is normal. Instead of understanding, like, there are other people who have looked at the same problem, looked at the same mountain, and found a different way up the mountain, found a different trail, a different path, if I could use that little metaphor. And they're not exposed to these people. Second of all, they go to that place where they feel lonely. Nobody else is experiencing what I'm experiencing. They go in this like victim mentality.
I'm the only one.
I'm the only one struggling. And you're not. I mean, the biggest liberating thing that you have to understand is you're not the only one experiencing what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
So how do you close that network gap for yourself? What does that look like for you?
So for me, I have a great bunch of peers who are all in my space or related space. They're in coaching, but they may be coaching in health. They may be coaching in fitness. They may coach in other areas. But we have this, understanding of like, hey, we're all in this in together. I was texting with one of them this morning.
Yeah.
Or secondarily, like it's finding a mentor. I'm a part of a mastermind. That's another element, is finding ways to expose yourself to other people who are doing what you want to be doing, or even better, they're doing it better.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, I want to be the dumbest and poorest person in any room I walk into.
Yeah.
Because if I'm the dumbest and poorest, it means that someone somewhere is challenging me, extracting out of me greatness. They're saying, you can do this. You can do more. You can be more. And if you'll just give yourself permission to see through a different lens, give yourself permission to delegate or whatever the thing might be. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, boom, I just went to another level. Boom, I just got a new revelation. Boom, I have a new insight that I otherwise would have never gotten had I not exposed myself to a higher echelon in my network.
Yeah. Well, isn't that one of the things that our clients often say when they're in our program, how amazing it is to have that network of people that are doing similar things, or even like accomplishing things that they never thought was possible, but they're hearing stories about those accomplishments. Our clients are saying that being a part of that is amazing, but they never asked for that coming into the program. They didn't even know that they needed it.
It's kind of like the old Steve Jobs thing, right? It's like, we're going to introduce a product you even know you wanted.
Yeah.
And then you get exposed to, you're like, I want that. How do I get that?
Yeah.
I need that. You know?
Yeah.
This is the thing, is like, when you get around the kind of energy, the kind of audacity of other peers, like it causes you to step in, like, what the hell is my problem?
Right.
Like, I'm in a mastermind right now where people are dropping numbers that I'm like, and they're like either like just getting started, or their business is younger than mine, or like whatever, and I'm like, how are they getting that far or that fast? And I'm like, I've got to be doing something different. And so it challenges me to see through a different lens. And then number two, it says, it makes me know that it's possible. Like, I'm not just racing for racing's sake. I'm not just throwing shit against the wall hoping something sticks. I'm like, okay, so how did you do that? Let me reverse engineer. What does that look like in my business? And in that peer kind of network, it's like, I can actually text them. Yo, what was that thing? Oh, yeah, I got a framework. Let me send it to you. Oh, it was a spreadsheet. Here, you can take this.
Ideas galore.
And it's suddenly, it's like, you're feeding off each other.
You got your own board of directors, personal board of directors. And like you say, Angus, and I love this phrase, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need a bigger room. You need a higher level room. Angus, let's talk about this third one. And this is the mindset gap. And I know this isn't sexy. I know a lot of times when, especially as entrepreneurs, we're looking for the tactics. Like if there's a sales issue, if there's a systems issue, what's the tactic? What's the software that's going to get me to the next thing? But many times we overlook this one important thing. And it's really one of the biggest things that's holding us back.
I think if we were to like really have a serious conversation, like this is the one where I could get the most emotional, because this is the one that people sabotage the most, is that when you don't understand, like, your belief system and the stories you're telling yourself are your biggest crutch.
Wow.
You're in a place where you try to step out into something, you try and do something, and there's this little gremlin in the back of their head that says, who do you think you are? Do you deserve to have that kind of a success? Are you worthy of this kind of success? Do you even have what it takes? Like, all those different crappy thinking mechanisms, all the things that make you afraid, make you get anxiety, make that stuff in your chest all tighten up. Like, that's scarcity. That level of fear and anxiety is fueled by some dumb story of something you're telling yourself that likely isn't even true. And so we will sabotage ourselves time and time again when we don't allow ourselves to take on new stories, to have new truths exposed into our mind and our belief system, so that we elevate our stories to one of success, one of prosperity, one of possibility. And that only comes when you start to address that. And that's where some people are like, they throw their hands in the air like, I don't even know how to stop this story. Sure. My parents were like this. My coach said this. And my ex-wife told me that. And all these become these narratives that we repeat in our heads over and over again. And then they become so entrenched that we can't possibly pull ourselves out of the inertia of that reality.
I mean, and then to break it down even scientifically, there have been scientific studies that say you can only function, achieve as high as you believe you can. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's while it is a very powerful and emotional thought, it is a scientific thought. How we are wired and the things that we can accomplish are limited or are expanded based on our mindset.
So good.
100%.
So good, Samantha. Because this blew my mind. When one of my virtual mentors, he said, confidence is a skill that can be developed. And I always just thought, you're either born with it or you're not. You're either like a baller or you're a wannabe baller. Like it's this idea, like I have confidence for this level of business, but that level, I don't know. We go to imposter syndrome. We go to all this stuff, but it is something that your mindset can be hacked. Like you can unplug all of these negative things that have been feeding it, feed yourself a new input of data. And Angus, it can change everything.
There's a section in my new book where I say that confidence is conflict. If you are to step into confidence, it's only because you are in conflict with all the old beliefs, all the old stories. Confidence is coming in defiance and in rebellion of bullshit. Confidence is saying, I'm stepping into this, even if I think I'm going to fail, even if somebody says I can't, even if someone, like whatever the limitation because of my color or the country I'm from, the heritage I bring, who my parents and my family, like all the different things that we allow to play in our heads is like, you have to step in defiance out of intention, out of reality that I will be who I dream and see myself to be. And if you don't do that, you will no longer be in a place of confidence. You will be everything else. But confidence must step into conflict. Confidence is when you do it even when you're afraid. Confidence is when you do it even if you don't know what the outcome. Confidence is what you do simply because you believe that I am here to do such a thing, and that's the only reason why I will.
That's really good. And following the mindset gap comes one, especially for those of us that have experienced success. We can hit this balance gap, right? Because you build up your business where it's thriving, it's humming, it's moving, but then you don't want to lose it. So you have to stay at this frenetic pace, right?
Yeah. And that's where we get hustle culture from, right? Or even worse is like those that are just getting started have not yet even experienced a sense of success. And so they like work harder. And then eventually, some way, somehow, someday, one day, I'm going to succeed. And it's like you do that kind of striving, manipulation, manufacturing, exertion, like all of that is not thriving. All of that is just activity, and activity does not equate to productivity. Right? So if you understand that balance is not like your life's suddenly going to be like, no, balance, there's an integration that's involved in it. There are days where you've got to push it a little bit harder than others. There's seasons where there's an urgency. We've got to do an event. We've got a product launch. And in those moments and seasons, we rise to that occasion. We work a little bit harder or a little bit longer. But ultimately, it's like, for what purpose? Are you going to enjoy your life? Are you going to create a value system of boundaries and of quality of life and relationships and your own sanity? Your own hobbies. Like, I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I've talked to. It's like, so what do you do with your free time? Like, what free time? Like, I used to, I was hoping to, and one day I'm gonna, and it was like, well, pick up your guitar now. Now go to the beach now. Like, go play golf now.
Let me just pause for a second to say this. There is one trait that you will find in every successful leader, no matter their industry, no matter their role. And that trait is action. And we want to inspire ambitious leaders like you to bet on yourself and take action on those audacious goals that you see in your heart. That's why we created our 90-day accelerator. It's a results-driven, battle-tested framework designed specifically for high-performing leaders like you to get unstuck and propel you towards your goals. And in just 90 days, you won't even recognize the person you used to be. To be a part of this elite community, go to evolveleadership.org. Now, back to the show.
But isn't there a story, because we've heard entrepreneurs say to us, I'm ambitious and this is what ambitious people do. We don't rest. We follow that ambition. We keep working and we do. And to rest feels lazy. To pick up a guitar feels lazy. Like I should be working. And a lot of times they feel good working, right? Like they don't want to. A lot of entrepreneurs, I'm looking at us like.
I'm just saying, like you're my wife. Like you, I know I'm picking up what you're putting down.
We
right?
don't love stopping and doing hobbies, right? Because we love work. We love that ambition. We have somewhere we're going. But even in that, it requires balance.
Well, and let me clarify that a little bit, because I think you're absolutely right. And this isn't something that I really discovered until recently. But in that same way, let's not shame ambition. Let's not shame the passion, right? That's not what we're saying. Because that's the thing that got you here. And it's the thing that's going to get you beyond. It's the thing that makes you a different species from everyone else.
Right.
This is what makes you the entrepreneur is you must have ambition. You must have a drive. You must have a fire in your belly. And you must have a relentlessness not to quit.
That's right.
Right? And that kind of battery usage you're going to have to do to generate that kind of energy must be refilled.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a never-ending battery. You are not the Energizer Bunny. Right? And so it's finding that context that exists for you and perhaps you alone, where you can fill up in the things that make your heart happy.
Right.
I watched an entrepreneur I really, really admire, and he was one of my mentors for a season. And he just posted a story about playing the piano. And he was back to writing songs, and he just shot this little video, and it was a really gorgeous, beautiful song he was playing on the piano. And he says, I'm questing to do more of this because it only fuels the stuff I'm doing in my workplace.
I love that.
And I'm like, now that's the ticket. Right? And understanding that piece of it. Yesterday, we went to the beach and I wanted to be working on my book. I'm almost done. I'm at the finish line. I can see it, right? And it's like, nope. We're going to go refuel. We're going to re-engage. And part of it was you and I reconnecting. And at first, we didn't have a whole lot to talk about. It wasn't like until we got to the water and then we're like,
take a breath.
Well, Angus, we've been married for however many years. Sometimes we don't always have something to talk about.
Do you know how many years we've talked about? You hesitated there.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many. It's
how
been
many
a
months,
lot.
Samantha? How many months?
17 years. Thank you very much.
17 years
17 years in June.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Actually, July. Sorry. June.
June, July, August, somewhere around there.
One of those.
But my point in that is like you get to that place where all of a sudden the things that feel like, oh, I might be wasting time, or the things I'm doing might not be important, or the thing that I'm doing feels like doesn't really matter, is actually the very thing you should be doing.
And it's because it's going to move your business forward. I love this phrase. It says, rest is a weapon in the hand of the busy, where you can see it not just as pulling off the gas or lazy, right? But see it as strategic. Right. And strategic because it's going to make you happy in the end. When you have time to reconnect with your kids, if you have time to reconnect with your spouse, if you have time to reconnect with yourself, my God, just being able to play that piano and stir up that, charge that battery, our phones, our devices, we know how to run them into the ground and we need to take that time to recharge. And when we do, it's strategic because come Monday, bam, hit the ground running.
Yeah. Creativity is a birthplace of productivity.
Yeah. 100%. I was talking with another fellow coach a few months ago, and he told me a little theory he had. He said, the more I let go, the more I experience success. And I was like trying to wrap my brain around that. Like, what do you mean let go? Like, it's just not like a scene from Frozen, let it go. Okay. I'm like, what do you mean? You know me.
Can you sing that a little bit more?
Don't disrespect. It's
Flex the golden pipes, Angus.
It's this element where the trying harder is like that thing that's squeezing off all the flow. And it's kind of this relaxing into trusting process, trusting your gift, trusting your product or service, and trusting your team. And the less you do of that, the more control you try to take, the least effective you become. And yet that's the thing that when you learn to let go of different areas and you can delegate, you can let go because you take off pressure, you can take off control. You actually open up a spiritual, energetic state that allows sales to come in, that allows opportunity, that allows the insights to come.
Yeah. And that came through your network gap, right? Through somebody else, wisdom coming into your life. And Angus, I love this final gap. This one is the action gap. And if we learned anything, action is different than just being busy. Am I right about that?
So great. It's great that we put this in this order.
Yeah.
Right. So action is this element where many times as an entrepreneur, you'll want to learn something. So you'll go to the next conference, you'll read the next book, you'll watch the next series, you'll subscribe to the next mastermind. You're going to do all this stuff around learning. And it's kind of like taking in oxygen and breathing. You're like,
yeah.
And eventually you're going to pass out. Because you got to exhale. And the exhale is taking action on what you know. Which brings me to the other side of the equation. The other side of the equation is people know what to do. Like, look, I can tell you a number of things that you know you should do. Well, you should have more balance in life. You're like, duh, Angus, I know. But are you taking action on the knowledge you have? Right. This is the principle that we're not really understanding, is that you have to act on what you know. You have to act on what you believe. You have to act on what you know to be true. And most people won't take action on the very things they know they should be doing. Yeah. And so when we step into a coaching situation, I always say this: I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know. I'm only going to remind you what you already know. And then I'm going to hold you to the fire to make sure that it happens in your life. You must take action on these elements in order for you to get to the thing you want to go. And so I'll just kind of open up the playbook a little bit more.
Yeah.
You're going to step into resistance. You're going to try to step into something new. You're going to take action on a thing, and all the world in the universe seems like it's slapping you back in the face. Like, what are you thinking? Get back. What are you doing? And we call that the resistance. It can be mental. It can actually be like natural. It could be tangible. It could be real. Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm going to save some money. And suddenly your car breaks and now you got to go take it to the repair shop. And you're like, shoot, I was just trying to save money. And suddenly I've got a $7,000 bill or whatever. All of that to say is the action is stepping into that thing beyond what you're currently experiencing. The action is moving towards what you desire, moving towards what you're creating, despite what the circumstances look or feel like.
Well, action for entrepreneurs often looks like risk.
Always looks like a risk.
I think that's one of the biggest things that keep people from taking action, is that it feels risky. The next step, the next level, it feels risky.
Yeah. You know, here's the crazy, and I don't remember which law it is, but it's like as you start making more money, your actual cost of living goes up because you buy the nicer home, you get the nicer car, you get the nicer clothes, and we start to expand in all areas of our life. And now the liabilities have risen as well. And so oftentimes, and this comes down to some of the mindset elements when people get into scarcity, is like as you're expanding and you start seeing those liabilities, you could be like, I can't take this risk because if I screw it up, how am I going to pay for all this stuff? And I'm going to lose the house. I'm going to lose the boat. I'm going to lose the car. I'm going to lose all the stuff. And you've created your own jail cell for yourself. And these areas of belief, these areas of skills, these areas of network, these areas of mindset, these areas of action are all interrelated.
Yeah.
And until you understand that the level of chaos you're experiencing is because of these gaps that exist in your life, you'll never move beyond. The gaps are there for a reason. The gaps are there because you're not understanding the opportunity. The gaps require you to have a level of objectivity and self-awareness and humility. And this is where most entrepreneurs fail. They're so busy trying to build a thing, they don't stand back to see what they're building is even worth building or in the direction they want to build it.
And when we say fail, the level of entrepreneur that we're talking about, it is not that they're broke.
No.
It is that they are killing themselves, making a living, doing what they love, but not enjoying the life that they've built, right? So failure, oftentimes people will say, well, I haven't failed because, I'm making $3 million, $4 million, $10 million. But when we go, are you loving your life? Do you feel like you want to burn your company to the ground? Is your marriage falling apart? Like, that's where it's like, there is a way to do all of it. There's a way to live this life that's not just wealthy financially, but wealthy in your lifestyle, in your fulfillment, in your purpose, in your passion.
So good. Angus, anything you'd like to say finally on these gaps in there?
Yeah. The essence of wealth. Like we quest after being able to provide for our family, for our future. And there may even be an element of some of our limitations we had in our past. And we're doing all that we're doing to either make up for or to replace some of those things that we came from. And none of that's bad. None of that's bad. You have to create something that you feel worthwhile. And I would tell you, it's not because you're trying to actually replace the hole, fill the void, blah, blah, blah. What you're doing is you're actually stepping into expressing who you truly are. And until you understand that all of this is an expression of the magnitude of your greatness, an expression of the value you are here to contribute and bring meaning to the world, until you understand that the uniqueness and the specialty of your skills is a gift to the world, until you understand that, you'll never actually fully bring it to the table. You have to come to another level where you raise the standards, raise the expectations, raise the capacity, and get to a place of expansion to such a degree that your light shines in the world. Because that's what you're born to do. That's what entrepreneurs, the roles that they play, is to be that light. No one provides as many opportunities and jobs and cash flow into the economic engine of the world than entrepreneurs. You're the lifeblood. And so while you see yourself just existing and you're playing small, you're missing the entire opportunity to change your world. And when you change your world, you change everyone else's too. So by becoming a wealthy entrepreneur, you're actually creating a wealthy life. And that wealth transcends beyond yourself. It affects your family, it affects your extended family and your friends and all of your employees, your future and your legacy. You create opportunity and you move mountains. For the very reason you were born, you move mountains so that you can be all that you were born to be, bringing to the world the fullness of your expression. This is who you are. Why not do that?
As we wrap up another episode of Evolve Leadership, thank you so much for taking time to invest in you. If there's to be any sustainable growth in your company or even in your relationships, you must grow first. And it's what I love to do for leaders, to help them grow, to challenge their thinking, sharpen self-awareness, to instill an unshakable confidence, and ultimately upgrade their sense of self. And we do this through our proprietary method called Agile EQ Plus, where we're leveraging agile leadership and emotional intelligence. We provide our signature training for individuals, and for businesses, we've designed a unique curriculum for company-wide learning and development. If you'd like to learn more about our training or to schedule a call, you can simply go to evolveleadership.org. And until next time, stay driven, keep climbing, and never stop evolving.